is happening, everybody? TC here with Smoky Mountain Knife Works, smkw.com, and today I'm joined by lead designer from Kershaw Knives, Jim McNair. Jim, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks, TC. It's always a pleasure to be here, man.
Absolutely. So we are here for the 2022 mid-year releases from Kershaw, right?
That's right, yeah, release number 2.
And we have got some really exciting stuff here on the table. So we got this in our hands yesterday in anticipation of doing this interview and talking about these releases. And I tell you what, I am super stoked. And I know our fans out there and I know our customers are going to be really excited to see these. But before we get started on these, if you like this video, smash that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell so you will know when we drop new videos and bring you all of Kershaw's new items like this right here. Now, without further ado, let's light it up.
So this year, for this release, I should say, we're starting out with 2 new hunting knives. So these are the Deschutes series, and we have the Deschutes Skinner and the Deschutes Caper.
Okay.
So I think I'll start here with the Skinner. But
so that's the larger one.
That's the larger one, correct? Okay. Yeah. At least as we're calling them. So our last series of hunting knives were called the Lone Rock series, and while we had some success with them, we still felt like there were some things we could improve. We felt like maybe the design was a bit too out there for the traditional hunting public, and we felt like there were some upgrades we could make. And so with the Deschutes series, we really tried to kind of pull these back and focus really hard on the function, on the ergonomics, and giving kind of a simple, clean design that just works well. So if you look at these, we have a full width flat ground blade. These are a D2 steel as well, so they're going to hold a nice edge. We have nice soft TPU rubber handles on them. So I shouldn't say soft, but they're really grippy. And TC, I'm sure as you know, when you're out and your hands are wet and they're cold and they're slippery, that rubber grip makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
it's easy to clean. There's not much to it. We've added an enlarged finger choil if you want to choke up like this.
I love that.
We have nice crisp but not overly aggressive jimping. So again, you can get your thumb here, or what I prefer to do, where we have these nice flats you can pinch with your middle finger and your thumb, and then you can reach forward and choke up on that blade. So as you're skinning and as you're pulling back and swiping, you have that real comfortable grip on it as you choke up on the blade. So we've got texture where you need it, and a little bit of handle shaping to facilitate multiple grips. This one does have a lanyard loop because I feel like this knife has a little bit of crossover appeal. This could be a hunting knife. It could also really just be a backpacking knife, just something you carried with you. If we look, the other thing that I like about these is that they're real slim in profile. We do have a nice palm swell in the handle, but it's not overly thick.
Right.
And the blade itself is also relatively slim. So, I mean, we're accepting that this is a tool. It's used for skinning and slicing and that kind of work. So we didn't want to make it overly thick. And then also, again, from feedback we've gotten, a lot of folks like to carry these in their backpack. They don't even necessarily put them on their belt. And so we wanted the whole package to be kind of lightweight and compact. So also coming with both of these knives here is our new sheath. So this is an injection molded version that fits kind of like a Kydex sheath, but they're very robust and rugged. They do have a drain hole down here if your blade is wet and you miss a little bit of it when you're putting it away.
I love that.
We have a Velcro belt loop here that you can open up. You don't have to take your belt off to slip this on. Another thing about this that's neat is it actually has Velcro down here, so you can undo it and slip it right out. So again, nice. If you were just going to throw this in your pack and you have no intention of putting it on your belt, you can take that right off. It goes back on real easily. The Velcro just puts it in. And there you have it. The other neat thing about this is that if you take this off, if you take the belt loop off, your retention strap is still attached to the sheath.
Right.
And the last little feature about these sheaths that applies to both of these is that this retention strap, there's 2 bolts here. You can undo those and reverse the whole thing. So for the left-handed people like myself, you don't have to have it as a right-hand carry sheath. You can reverse it as well.
Exactly.
So
I tell you what, this thing is, ergonomically speaking, this thing is perfection. I mean, this is fantastic. And you hinted at it earlier, being able to pinch the blade, and then like when you're getting into skinning, you've got the jimping that are farther forward on the blade. And I tell you, it takes a full-size fixed blade, and it really runs it down to like a very small, very precise skinning knife that I think is absolutely wonderful. I mean, it's almost impossible to find a full-size fixed blade knife that actually the size of it runs down in your hand so that you can get precision when doing that kind of small game processing and stuff like that. Even if you're talking about fish processing, I mean, this is still not too big of a knife to do that, and I think that's fantastic. I mean, and the rubberized handles feel great in the hand. Ergonomically, I think you guys have hit it out of the park with that one.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Now, what's the price point on this one going to be?
So the price point on the bigger knife is $79.99.
That's fantastic. That's under $100 for D2 full size knife that's that versatile. That's outrageous.
So in any case, then moving on, we have the Deschutes the Deschutes caper, which, like as you kind of started hinting at before, is meant for detail work, but also for small game, bird and trout kind of stuff. And so if we pull this one out and look at it, before I forget, I should mention this one. This one also has an MSRP of $59.99. So this one's even more affordable, but with the same great features. So it has a D2 blade, and again, that nice, fairly thin blade stock that makes it real slicey, full width flat grind all the way to the top, and the same kind of jimping in the two positions. So you can grab it either way, or you can truly choke up for that really fine detail work. And that same kind of tapering of the handle there.
Yeah.
You can see we have a little bit of palm swell. In this case, no lanyard loop, because again, this is really this is a scalpel.
Right.
This isn't necessarily a hatchet or anything else. This is very specific to what it does. So again, same kind of wonderfully grippy olive green handle there. And then the same great sheath. So I feel sort of like I'm repeating myself, but we have it's reversible for left or right hand carry. You can take that belt loop off the same way. It's really the same kind of concept. You have a nice sturdy retention here. And I forgot to mention, you do have some secondary retention.
Right.
So once you push that in there, it does grip the handle.
It grips it really well, actually. I mean,
yeah,
better than most leather sheaths, honestly.
And so again, I mean, these are just a really neat new pair of knives, and I hope we do well with them, because I think we've really put some thought into trying to make sure that these are functional and reasonably priced.
Design-wise, I think they're fantastic. They hit a really great price point, under $100. So you're talking $79.99 for the larger, and then $59.99 for the smaller, right?
That's right. Yep.
That's incredible. And D2 steel. We were talking about before we started on the video about how much I love D2. I really don't carry stainless that much. I love D2 and what it offers. And it's contrary to what some people might think that are really staunch lovers of stainless steels, is D2 is not that hard to take care of. And I think that choice in and of itself is amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, truthfully, people tend to forget that it even patinas a little bit, and it gets a cool look over time. Like if you cut a tomato with it, you get some blood on it. It looks almost, I don't know how to describe it, but it gets a little cloudiness to it, and it looks cool.
Absolutely.
I mean, so yeah, a little bit of oil, and I like to think of D2 as almost stainless. So it's not like some things where you look at it and it rusts.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I just got a nice axe, and it was sat in the trunk of my car for a few days, and I came back and I have to touch it up with a Scotch-Brite. It's got a little bit of rust already starting on it, but D2 is not quite that bad.
Exactly. So up next, we've got a pair of lockbacks here, and these things are looking really cool. I'm talking a couple of great EDC knives here. Which one did you want to talk about first?
I think we'll talk about them kind of as a family. So let's start with the big one. Again, so we have the cargo and the debris, Yeah, and so these are our new lightweight midlocks. And so there's a couple neat features about these that I want to point out. First of all, it's just that obviously midlocks are real comfortable. For some people who maybe have some discomfort with working a liner lock, these can be a great option. I consider them, you kind of have one-handed knives and you have two-handed knives. These are almost kind of hand and a half.
Right.
It's not quite a slip joint where you have to pull it all the way open with two hands.
Exactly.
You have that thumb stud. But then when you're closing it, you have a little more control. And again, for kids or for people who just prefer this kind of mechanism.
Yeah.
They're real smooth. We worked real hard on getting that lock spring just right because we realized we didn't want it to completely drop.
Right.
When you release this, we didn't want it to swing down and hit you in the fingers. So we worked really hard to get that to be kind of a happy medium where we had enough pressure, but at the same time, it's still really slick and easy to open.
Yeah.
This is, I'm going to risk saying this because I know you have a really diehard group of slip joint fans out there. I've tried and I struggle with slip joints because I'm not used to them.
Right.
And so whenever I'm cutting something, I tend to have it in my hand already. And then I'm fumbling to get it open.
Yep.
And again, that's pilot error. That's on me. But what I love about these is that they kind of bridge that gap. They're still a traditional mechanism, but you have that one-handed option if you're like me and you're too dumb to open your knife before you pick up the package or whatever it is you're holding.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I find myself in the same situation a lot of times.
So I really appreciate the midlocks and that thumb stud for that. So I forgot to mention, so these are both D2 steel. And we have, the other thing that's really neat about these is how slim they are. I think we forget sometimes that front to back being slim like this makes a big difference. So for something to compare to, these are almost exactly identical to our stainless steel leaks.
Yeah.
In thickness front to back, which for a lot of people will be a big deal. It makes it very easy to carry, forget it's in your pocket kind of situation. And they're very light.
That makes for a great all-around EDC. I mean, really just a fantastic size. It's going to disappear in your pocket, and they're not super heavy either. Like they're not insanely, like they're not to the point of you think they're flimsy. They're just exceptionally lightweight in all the right ways. Yeah,
they do have full steel liners underneath these injection molded handles,
and that's wonderful.
I'm switching over here. So the larger knife, the Cargo has a 3 1/4 inch blade.
Okay.
And then our smaller one here, the Debris, has a 2.75 inch blade. And I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm a little bit off on that, but that's roughly what it is. It's just under 3. And so these do have full steel liners. And then what I love about these handles, it's a little hard to see on camera, is that this pattern of texture, they're little right triangles that one row goes this way, the other row goes this way. And so when you get your fingers on them, they're not necessarily shredding you, but you get a really secure grip on them when you pinch on that.
Absolutely.
And so it's nice to be able to have that.
I'm glad you specified that. When you pinch on it, when you actually put pressure on it, it gets to the point where it's just a little grabby. Outside of that, it's super smooth.
Right. You can lock it in if you need to.
Yeah.
So these do have reversible deep carry pocket clips. And again, that mid-lock mechanism. And then these are actually the same price. So
wow,
a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. These are both $71.99. They have D2 blades. So again, that nice little upgrade to get a little more edge holding ability out of these. And yeah, $71.99 MSRP.
That's amazing. That's great. I think that's going to be a phenomenal little EDC knife right there. And I mean, great for a bug out bag too. Like if you want something like super lightweight that's not going to take up a lot of room, not going to take up a lot of real estate in like a go bag or something like that, or in like a work bag, I think those are a phenomenal option for that.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I think I tend to think in terms of everyday carry when I talk about weight, but truthfully, when you think about having to pack a bag and make the hard decisions about what's going to weigh you down, what's going to be crucial, having something like this that's safe and easy to use and also is quite light in weight, it's really kind of you're getting a lot of bounce per ounce, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. For something like that, I think that's great, especially for and two for people that are doing like overnight, like hiking and packing out. Even if you're doing something like the AT or something, a long distance hike where you're camping, every ounce counts, and something like that is crucial when you talk about, you're going to need a knife, but you're not going to, put something extremely heavy in there, but this is going to hold up really well. It's super sturdy, and it's not going to weigh you down. I think that's perfect.
Absolutely.
And again, it's at a great price point too, under $100.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was just going to, it's funny you mentioned the Appalachian Trail. That actually goes through my parents' neighborhood.
Really?
Back home. So we used to see a lot of through hikers down at the little sandwich shop.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Small world. But yeah, I think I hadn't thought about it that way. But yeah, those guys might appreciate something like this.
Yeah.
Guys and gals, excuse me. We saw plenty of both.
Absolutely. Yeah. So next up, we've got a really cool little tool from you guys called the Recap. And I tell you what, lately, in the last couple of years, I've been just as excited to see the quote-unquote non-knives that you guys have come out with as I have been to see the knives, too. So this is right up there with that.
I keep chuckling on this one because this is one of those weird products where you think, oh, it's going to be a throwaway. It's kind of boring. And I'll try to take too much time. But the truth is, what I love about this product is not so much what it is, but what it isn't. Because I don't know about you, but I've got too much stuff on my keys. I wish I could be a minimalist, and I just can't. I've got too much. And I've got that big fat car key that they make now that just kind of, It takes up a lot of space in my back pocket.
It's a fob and a key at the same time. Yeah.
So the space on my key ring has become precious. And what I love about this, I forgot to bring my keys over here, but this is about the same size as your standard key that you would have on your key ring.
Right.
So it's not oversized. It doesn't have, let's be honest. There are things that we put on these things. We try to add value, but how often do I use the 1/4 inch bit driver? Right. There might be a moment that I do, but the 1/4 inch hex hole in it. So someone's going to attack me for that. They use it all the time. Maybe, but there are. This is just simple.
Yeah.
If you think about the kind of things, especially the kind of things you don't want to do with your knife, it's got a bottle opener. It has a little flat blade screwdriver, and I've got a buddy who I'm going to shame every time I talk about this because he keeps bringing me back knives that he's broken the tip off because he's using it as a screwdriver.
Using it as a pry tool. Yeah.
The last time I gave it back to him, I lasered not a screwdriver on the blade for him, and he still broke it. So.
That's hilarious.
Some of us don't learn. So having this with us, this is, I remember being at the range, having to pull staples out of the table.
Yep.
And whenever you're scraping on something, and just having a screwdriver and a little pry bar that isn't oversized are really nice to have. And obviously the bottle opener, when you need a bottle opener,
exactly,
there are clever methods, and I'm not good at any of them. So just having this is really nice to have.
It's fun to see the people that are really talented on TikTok that can open it with the heel of their shoe. But, in reality, how many of us can actually do that without breaking the bottle or ourselves? Yeah, that's not happening. So,
I've done that before. Broken the neck off.
Right. So
chunks out of the table.
Oh, yeah. And like you said, and I'm glad you put it that way. It's not necessarily what it is, but what it isn't. It's everything it needs to be and nothing that it doesn't need to be. And that's the beauty of the simplicity of that. And it's super lightweight, small. It's not going to take up any more room than a normal key. And It's an invaluable tool when you need it. And like you said, some people never learn that they can't use their knife as a pry tool. So.
The other great thing about it is that it's cheap. It is $7.99.
Wow.
So
$7.99.
So it's about the size of a key, and it's just a little bit more expensive than having a key made. So
yeah,
I think this is one of those things that you can afford to have it on your keychain.
Absolutely. That's really cool. Now we've got something a little bit different here.
Yeah.
And this one's well, I won't say a little bit different. I'll say a lot different, especially for Kershaw. Like, this is not
absolutely
something that you see a lot of out of Kershaw. And, I dig it. I think it's really cool.
This one took a bit for me to wrap my head around. And I'll admit our other designer did this one, and I think he did a great job with it. I was a little frightened and confused when we talked about this, but I've come to really appreciate what you can do with one of these. And I mean, obviously karambits have their place in the world and they've always existed, and there are lots of different designs out there, but I really like that this one is relatively lightweight. The hole in the handle is very functional.
Yes.
The way it's designed in a way where it has that deep carry clip, but the hole stays presented above your pocket.
Yes.
So when you want to draw it from your pocket, you get this incredibly secure grip by just slipping your pinky through it as you pull it.
Exactly.
And very hard to lose your grip on. The flipper, it has speed safe assisted opening action. So it does pop open real quick and real fast. And again, you have that great, I'm not going to do any tricks or I'm going to injure myself on camera. But you know, it's designed to have that, to be able to swing it.
Right.
There are a couple little points on this. And again, this is where I don't know the tricks, but I've been told by reputable sources that there are several things that you can do manipulating the ring. So we have some jimping, and it's not just a circular ring. We have a couple spots that you can either put your thumb on or you can use it to manipulate.
Right.
So it gives you a little bit of a ramp to roll it on your fingers. And I'm butchering this description badly, but for me, as kind of a novice to the whole karambit thing, what I've come to appreciate is the security of having your pinky through that ring. It's virtually impossible to drop this.
Exactly.
We have nice thumb jimping here, so you get a really solid grip. And people forget, you know, hawkbill blades are one of those. They're an uncommon and maybe less popular than they should be kind of blade style. Obviously, for detailed kind of cutting, for putting it down and making a complex shape, they work really well for that. But the big thing I love about these is that you've probably cut plenty of rope and plenty of zip ties in your life.
Yeah.
And that circular profile of rope in particular, when you have a traditional blade with a curve to it, they tend to want to slip off that hump.
Yep. And so you never cut it all that first time either.
Yeah. And so when you have that reversed curvature that just forces the curve of the rope down the ramp into the cutting surface of the blade, it's really handy and really quick and effective. And then for things like zip ties, that I've every time I have to cut a zip tie, I'm a little bit like, all right, let's not injure ourselves.
Yeah.
Just having that fine little tip that'll just work right under it and then forces it into that curvature. So, I mean, I'm sure there are lots of other things that people can think of that you could snip with this. But really functional blade shape.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because, a lot of people don't view karambits that way, but it essentially is a hawkbill blade. And, a lot of people don't think of it that way, but that's exactly what it is. And hawkbills have been being used for decades now and have been extremely popular. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason why they're still around. So that makes this, not just a traditional karambit, as you would, imagine as like a fighting knife or a self-defense tool, but also a usable actual knife, a usable tool as a knife. So I think that's that's great as far as versatility and functionality.
Absolutely.
Now, what's the price point on this one?
So this is the Outlier, and the price point is $71.99.
Nice. That's fallen in a great place.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at it now, and one thing that's interesting to note, so that backspacer is the ring itself.
It is, yep.
So that integrated backspacer becomes that finger ring right there.
And it is a steel backspacer as well, so it's nice and rugged.
Yeah. And those are full steel liners. It's a liner lock.
Yep.
That's just beautiful. And
thank you. I'm not doing my job over here very well. I'm not.
I got to be honest with you.
So thank you for having my back.
Well, and I've been playing with this one a lot. So I actually pulled it out and opened it with my pinky numerous times, and I've gotten to where I'm actually comfortable with that. And I think that is so much fun. Just putting your pinky on the thumb stud right there and popping it out.
On the thumb stud, okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It's tricky. The first time you're afraid, but it works. And it is so
cool.
much fun. I mean, this is a new toy to play with right there too. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So that is absolutely beautiful. And you say coming in at $71.99?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, there is one more that we've got to talk about, and this one has, in some form or fashion, has been part of your lineup for a while, but this one's a little bit different.
It is. So we've had a lot of success with our Lucha, and I'm having my friend here introduce him. This was my one fevered purchase when I got to visit the guys at Smoky Mountain for the first time earlier this year, and boy, I almost have to I really have to give them a plug because it's an experience.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. So my unnamed friend here is going to introduce you to Lucha CF.
Nice.
So, as many of you may know, we've had a lot of success with our Lucha lineup. We've been really happy with the response we've gotten from people, and we decided that we would come out with a true fuller high-end version of it. So the biggest thing that I've always heard about the Lucha is that, given that it's a stainless steel design, that the handles could be lighter.
Right.
And so we felt like, well, the way to address that in this case would be to make it with a titanium handle and a carbon fiber overlay. So we have I wish I could show you through the camera, but it's got a much lighter feel.
It does.
It's very fast.
It really does. Myself, having handled numerous luchas, including the trainers and such, it's just got a completely different balance to it that is gorgeous.
Yeah. So really, everything on this knife is some kind of an upgrade. So we have the 20 CV blade. In this case, we're upgrading to a 20 CV blade, a CPM 20 CV. We have what we call a working finish, kind of that darker stone wash, a little more scratchy look to it. Titanium scales with a blue anodize, and then fully machined carbon fiber overlays. And these are a little different. These are not. It's a little harder to see with the texture of the carbon fiber, but they have a profile that's a bit more of a ridge down the middle. So kind of like a little bit of a V down the middle, and it's very comfortable. They also have these grooves in them, which are partially an aesthetic choice, but what they do is they kind of like I don't know if you've ever ridden anything with paddle tires, TC, like a sand buggy or something like that, but they create this kind of groove in here. So as it rolls in your hand, that groove gives you just a little bit of texture without being overly sharp.
Exactly.
So it gives you a little extra grip as you spin it. As it rolls in your hand, you can it helps you manipulate it. You can feel that as you pinch it. And so again, we have those real nice carbon fiber overlays, and that combination of the thin titanium and the carbon fiber still keeps it much lighter. We have the same style of latch that we have on the Lucha with the rounded end on it to kind of keep it from sticking if it bounces and catches in the handles here. And we're still running on ball bearing washers. And so that is the Lucha CF. We do have an MSRP of $499 on this one. So I know that's going to be quite a bit more than the other knife, but there's a lot more to it.
Yes.
And there's a lot of new features.
You're talking about super premium materials there, especially when it comes to the anodized titanium and the carbon fiber. And you talk about machining carbon fiber is a whole nother animal. And then the 20 CV blade steel on top of that. I think that's another aspect that you have to take into consideration there. And for those reasons alone, I mean, you're making a product that's right up there with all the other premium balisongs that are out there. And it's got to have a price tag that goes along with it, because there's a lot that goes into producing something like this.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I know it's a challenge going from a mid-priced knife to a very high-end knife, but I think once people get these in their hands, they'll understand the difference in the feel.
Oh, absolutely.
And kind of what's going into it.
Yeah, I think these are absolutely gorgeous. I love, and one thing that's hard to show, you can't really see it unless you have these in hand, but the detail work on blade tang there, and how you've integrated those ball bearing pivots. I think that deserves more attention than it gets as well, because that really affects the performance of this thing too.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful. And the price on that one is
$499 MSRP.
$499. Nice. Yep. That is absolutely gorgeous. And I love 20 CV as the blade steel choice. You guys have used that on a few knives, and I was actually talking about this the other day because we just recently recorded a top Kershaw Knives video, and so yeah, I couldn't keep it to 5. Greg likes to make fun of me, but I ended up with like 9 knives on there. Because I couldn't pick just 5, and one of my favorites was the Link, which is 20 CV. I think it's one of the best deals that is out there. But I mean, now I might have to go back and actually amend my top Kershaw Knives video choice because I'm really digging these. But these are absolutely gorgeous, dude. These are awesome.
Appreciate it.
And we are super stoked to get these in our store. So now we've got the prices on all these. We've gone over all the details. These are being released May
2nd.
2nd. Now, when are these going to be actually available in store?
Most of these will be available pretty much right away.
Okay.
Within that quarter.
That's awesome.
So
that is fantastic. So these are going to be available very, very soon as we can get them in. And these will be shipping out, I'm assuming, very soon. Is that right, Jim?
Yep.
That is awesome. Dude, we are super stoked. This is really cool. And we look forward to seeing you guys at Blade Show, too. Are you guys going to be at Blade Show?
We are, yeah.
Nice. Nice. Absolutely. So stay tuned for that as well, folks. So we've got that coming up, and you're going to see more from Kershaw and everybody else. We're going to be there at Blade Show talking to everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun, and stay tuned for more from these knives. So we've got, and I don't remember the names right off the top of my head.
That's right. Do we want to recap real quick?
Yes, let's recap.
Okay. So we have the Deschutes Skinner and the Deschutes Caper.
Skinner's the bigger one. Caper's the smaller one.
Correct. And we have the Cargo.
Cargo, big one.
And the Debris, the little one. We have the Recap, the really little one. And the Outlier.
The Outlier, yes.
And we have the Lucha CF.
And the Lucha CF.
As modeled by my friend Al here.
Al.
There we go. All right. Anyway.
That's fantastic. Jim, dude, thank you so much. Folks, let us know in the comments down below which one you like the most and which one you plan on getting your hands on. I'm having a hard time choosing. I think I'm going to have to get at least one of the Midlocks and one of the fixed blades. I don't know which one yet. But that one of them is definitely coming home with me. So I am looking forward to that. Folks, let us know down in the comments below which one you are most excited to get in hand. Folks, as always, it's been me, TC, here with Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Again, Jim, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And folks, remember, if it cuts like a Kershaw, then we carry.